Hi ladies, it's Krista and welcome to the Feminine Takeoff. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Krista. I talk about all things femininity, and I also talk about how peace and elegance can coexist with progress. So just because we are feminine does not mean that we let go of the things that we are passionate about, whether it is a career, whether it is anything in life that you want to do. Okay, so let's get started today with the topic. You ladies have to forgive me. I'm a little bit under the weather, so I'm traveling for work. I called in sick today, and then I'm gonna go to a wellness center after this. So forgive me in advance if this is just a little bit more on the softer, relaxed side, a little bit more slow paced than usual. I know that all things femininity, we do move slowly, but today we're gonna take extra gentle care to go at an even more slower pace, just because I'm not feeling very well and I just want to give myself that grace. So I hope you're all doing well. Give me a second ladies, I think I need to turn off this heater. It's making so much noise. Alright ladies, I am back, and today's video is actually going to be on how to have a feminine home no matter the budget. As you can see, I'm not home. Those of you who know what the inside of my home looks like, I usually have like my draping canopy bed, but I'm traveling for work. Those of you who know me, you know, those of you who watch me often, you know that I travel a lot for work. So I'm not home, but even then I'm traveling for work. I'll be on the road for like about a month, and so because of that, I still brought things that would make me feel feminine and soft and just make me feel comfortable even when I'm away from home. So one of them, as you can see in the background, are my satiny silky pillowcases, and I travel with them everywhere I go. Sometimes they come in different colors, and I do that because first, I don't like my hair being just on a harsh fabric, and also it just gives me a touch of femininity. I would say one thing ladies, if you are traveling and you decide to bring a pillowcase of your own, make it a bright color so that you don't forget it when you're packing. My first time traveling with my own pillowcase, I actually made them white because my sheets are white at home. But guess what? When I was leaving, I was in a slight hurry and I forgot them because they blend in right along with the bedding of the hotel as well. So make it a bright color. I have this pink one, I have a green one, I have like a shimmery silver one. So they all come in various colors, so that make sure you get them in various colors so that you don't forget them. Alarme pour 13h45. Sorry ladies, I have to go to a wellness center, so I have to set an alarm so that I don't miss my departure time. Alright ladies, let's get started. So the topic of this video is how to create a feminine home no matter your budget. Alright, so a feminine home has little to do with the decor, the location of your home. It really has to do with the feeling that you decide that you want to be invoked when someone steps foot into your home. Even better, when you step foot into your home. So the softness, the peace, the intentionality, all of that pour into your home. And when you pour that type of intentionality and softness into your home, anyone who steps in, including yourself, will say, wow, this home feels so peaceful. This home feels feminine. And ladies, you can cultivate that no matter what budget you have, no matter where you currently are, or no matter what season you currently are in your life, okay? Sometimes we can't all afford a beautiful luxury high-rise. We can't always afford a beautiful home by the lake or by the ocean. But where you are right now, give yourself that grace. If you can't afford that, or you have something or someone that can provide that for you, that is wonderful. But until we get there, ladies, this video is to show you how you can find pieces of femininity and softness no matter where you are, and create it and cultivate it, especially in your home space. So today we are going to talk about how to create a feminine home that reflects your higher self no matter where you are in your life right now. So let's begin with point number one. Point number one is keep your space clean. No matter how big or how small it is, is your space and it is your responsibility to keep it clean. Whether you live with roommates, whether you have your own studio, a luxury apartment, your townhome, or a giant home, or even simply a place to just lay your head temporarily, wherever that is, cleanliness is one of the markers for femininity. And keeping your home is not about perfection, it's about stewardship, or it's about how you feel about yourself, how you feel about your inner self. So in many of my previous videos, I've talked about how part of being feminine is about emotional management. So ladies, let's ask ourselves, if we cannot manage the state of our space, how can we manage our internal space? How can we manage our emotional space? That would be also difficult to do if we cannot manage the simple external spaces that we are in or that we have governance over, you see. So your home is like a mirror. When you care for your space, when you care for your home, you truly start to care for yourself as well. And it both radiates outwards and back inwards for you. So ladies, now let's move on to point number 2. So point number 2 is play calming music. Think of your favorite cafe or your favorite restaurant or your favorite lounging area. What is the most calming thing about it? Usually it's the music, right? Think about your favorite cafe, your favorite hotel lobby, or just a place that seems calm to you. Now think about the sound that that place emits, or what sound is usually there, right? When you're at a calming luxury hotel or a calming cafe, you're most likely listening to calming music, calming jazz, some classical piano, and so on and forth. So try to find that kind of feeling in music and bring it into your home space. You can play on YouTube like you're watching this video. Go and type, I usually type in like luxury coffee house jazz. I have a Google Home Hub. It's like an Alexa device in my kitchen that can radiate music. I have a small little 1-bedroom apartment. You guys have seen glimpses of it in some of my previous videos, but I usually just ask my Google, hey Google, play luxury coffee house jazz, or hey Google, play luxury winter jazz, because it's winter time right now, Christmas is approaching. So it will play soothing sounds, and it will even play, sometimes have like a video of like beautiful portraits, or just the snow falling, or a fireplace crackling while the snow is falling. So try to find something like that to play in your own home. Music puts you in a gentle, restful place and space. So when you play it in your home, well, depending on the type of music, ladies, so when you play it in your home, not only are you creating a gentle, restful environment, but you're also inviting that in your home. That is a setting that you're placing inside of your home. So you're kind of making your home into that luxury hotel, that luxury coffee house. And even when you're at home sipping tea, coffee, or bone broth even in your home, and there's like a beautiful classical jazz playing, that itself sets the mood. No matter how small the space is, you're truly just bringing a glimpse of luxury, of peace into that home. And listen, ladies, I love elegant, feminine, sophisticated music. I am also Christian, so I try not to listen to secular music, but sometimes when I'm working out or I need to be hyped, I told you ladies in the past, I love listening to Moneybagg Yo. And I love it. I mean, it's a little bit intense, but I love listening to Moneybagg Yo. He has this song called 50-50, and I don't know, I just really like it. So I often play it, but you know what I do when I know I'm going to play an intense music like that, I choose the time and space that I want to listen to. So I usually will listen to it when I'm working out at the fitness center, or even working out at home, so that my brain knows that I'm not just listening to this to lounge or find a calming space or find a calming feeling. I'm listening it so I can get myself hyped when I need to like work out or something like that. I'm gonna be honest with you, ladies, I told you before in the past, this channel is built and based on honesty. So I'm not gonna tell you that I listen to jazz and saxophone all day, because that's simply not true. But when I do listen to intense music like Moneybagg Yo. I try, honestly, I don't love listening to rap all the time, but when I do, it's usually him or like, I don't know, similar artists like that. And when I do listen to intense music like that, I choose this time and space for it, like working out. And so it's not about just limiting yourself. Femininity is not about just limiting yourself and just like not being authentic to who you are, but it's being authentic to who you are, but remembering to bring peace into it and remembering to bring regulation into it, right? You want to regulate your emotions, right? So you also want to regulate the type of music you expose yourself to. And sometimes if you like something that's a little intense, that's okay, as long as you are mindful of first the words that it's saying and of course the settings in which you are in. If you're listening to those types of music all the time, every single day, now it will start to affect you a little bit differently or maybe even negatively. But once in a blue moon, or when you need to work out or intensify the vibes a little bit, I think that is okay. But ladies, just use your discretion and just be intentional about when and how what you listen to enters your space. So now let's move on to point number 3. And point number 3 is be discerning of who you allow in your home. A feminine home is a protected home. It's part of my culture to be hospitable and to be generous, and I actually really do enjoy hosting my friends and so. But when I was younger, for a long time, I wasn't completely discerning of who I allowed in my space, to be completely honest. Sometimes people will come. I live in a busy city that has a lot of convention, and because I work in conventions and trade shows, I had friends who also worked in the same field. So because of that, sometimes they will want to come to my place and crash and work so they can save on money. And I realized that some of those friends did not respect my space, or even if they did respect my space, they weren't true friends. So I had to build boundaries around that. But I've been living on my own for a really long time. I had my own place in Miami, in New York, in Las Vegas, in big cities. Since I've been living on my own since I was like 17. So I had my own space for a long time. So it was truly a trial and error experience to learn what I could do with my space, what I wanted to do with my space. So if you have experience in, letting yourself down and not knowing any better, that's okay. I've been there too. But now that I'm older and a little bit wiser, I actually have some regulations and rules of who I allow in my space. And so I'm going to share a few of them with you. Now it might seem a little intense, but ladies, I have those rules to keep my safety, keep my sanity, and just keep who I am, so that I can be able to offer the best version of me to myself and also to the people that I expose myself to. So ladies, just remember that your home needs rules and not just visitors, okay? You can have guests in your home, but those guests can actually truly enjoy the space in your home when you have rules and guidelines that are there to keep your home soothing and calm. It's like a temple, right? Even temples and churches and beautiful places. Oh, my alarm is sounding. Oh, I only have 10 more minutes, so let me try to speed it up a little bit. So your home doesn't only have to be filled with just heavy, strong rules, but they must have guidelines to keep and maintain the peace that you've created for it. Think of like temples or even churches. There are even unspoken rules there. So it doesn't mean that they don't want you to be comfortable when you're praising God or when you're coming to, find a place of peace. But there are things that you can and cannot do in those spaces. So you must be also able to treat your home as such. There are things that visitors and guests can or cannot do. So let me tell you a little bit of the rules that I have for my home. So I have about 4 rules total, and the number 1 is no man enters my home unless they are contributing to the household. This rule, actually, I started implementing it maybe like 4 years ago, 3 to 4 years ago, right before my first engagement, and it worked like a charm. And actually, I noticed that even when I'm dating, because I'm single currently, but even when I was engaged, No man is allowed in my home, in my space, unless they're contributing to it, contributing in maybe the expenses of it, or just contribution to it, whatever that means to me, right? I don't want to go into details with it, just because I want you to be able to adopt these rules to yourself. And I think that if I tell you specifically what that entails for me, then that kind of makes it rigid for you. Okay, so for me, number one, no man is allowed in my space unless they're able to contribute to the expenses of that space. All right, and number two is I don't host people whose homes I cannot go into. I don't host people whose home I cannot go visit, or who I cannot also be hosted by. Reciprocity is really important to me. It doesn't matter the reasons. It doesn't matter if it's because they live at home with their parents, or their place is not clean enough. If it's not clean enough, then that means I shouldn't allow them in my home, just because that means they're not used to a clean home. So if they come to my home, they're not going to be able to keep it clean as I like it as well. So that's not rule number two. I don't allow people in my home who cannot invite me in their home as a guest as well. And rule number three is anyone who criticizes my home or my space in any kind, especially if it's not coming from a place of gentleness and care, that person is not allowed in my home. Disrespect is a form of contamination. So oftentimes when we think people come to our homes and they are contaminating it with either their negative spirit or their shoes everywhere or whatever, we think of like tangible things, right? We think of like dirt, but disrespect is also a form of contamination. So just remember that. So rule number four, last but not least, is no one is allowed to do in my home what I am not allowed to do in their home, or what I cannot do in their home. Okay, this rules keeps relationships balanced, respectful, and clean. Okay, if I cannot do this to you, you cannot do it to me. If I cannot do this in your home, you cannot do it in my home. One of my ex-fiancés, when we were together, of course he was allowed in the home because he was contributing to that home. He didn't live there, he had his own space. But I noticed every time he would come over at my space and he would wash his hand or wash his face, he would just throw water on the mirrors. I don't know, maybe he washed it in a very messy way. I don't know what he was doing in there, but there will be water splashes on my mirrors. I don't know and understand how. And every time I would either clean it or have my housekeeper or my cleaning lady clean it, but every single time he will wash his face, it will be there. And I would go to his home and I will always make sure if there are any water droplets on the mirror, I would wipe it. And so I noticed, I brought it up to him and he kept doing it. So every time I went to his home, I know this is really petty, but I intentionally splattered the water on his mirrors. And he noticed. He was like, what are you doing? How are you washing your hands? It's splattered everywhere. And I looked at him and I said, oh, I thought it was okay because you've always done it in my home. Ever since then, he never splattered water in my home again. So of course, that's a little petty, ladies. I'm not asking you to be petty. I'm sure there were other ways that I could address that situation in a more mature way, but I was in my mid to early 20s, so you're gonna have to forgive me. Okay, that was the method I used at the time. But ladies, if you cannot sit a certain way in someone's home, they cannot sit a certain way like that in your home either. It's about respect. If you respect someone enough to respect their wishes in their home, they should also be able to respect you enough to respect the wishes and boundaries in your home. So ladies, in point number 3, be discerning of who you allow in your home. Sit with yourself and think about your past experiences and think about rules or regulations or even intentions that you wish that you implemented during times when you had guests. Write them down and start implementing them now. Now, your past mistakes, what you've let slide, were in the past. You're in the now present. You're allowed to change. You're allowed to evolve, and so are your rules. And now embody those intentions, and now let that be the standard of your home, of your space. So before I let point number 3 go, ladies, just remember, The people you allow in your home truly reveal how you feel about yourself. So now let's move on to point number 4. Point number 4 is fill your home with comfort. A feminine woman prioritizes comfort in her environment, and whatever comfort means to you is what you are going to prioritize. And it doesn't always mean expensive decor. It means thoughtful ideas. Think of like memorabilia. If you have like a little a childhood item or something that is passed down in your family that has been given to you, nicely polish it, find maybe a place to hold it, or find like a frame to put it on if it's a photo or so, and keep it in your home. I personally love helicopters and planes. I just love aircrafts in general. Those of you who know me or who have seen my previous videos, I have a background in aviation. I have some flight hours in helicopters as well as fixed wings planes. So because of that, my friends have gifted me little plain wine holders, or even like one of my exes, his mom gave me for Christmas the pilot Barbie, because he said I look like she said I look like a Barbie doll. So she actually you probably saw it, like a glimpse of it in my home, but it's actually a black Barbie that looked really close to me. I don't know how she was able to find it, and she had her in a helicopter, because at the time I used to take helicopter flight lessons, and it was like a black Barbie inside of a helicopter holding the controls and things like that. And I kept that in my living room space, or even like a silk or satin pillowcase in your bedroom. Whatever it is, find little feminine ways and accents that you can place in your home that will truly remind you and remind anyone who steps in that this is truly a feminine home. And if you want to even go further, have a place where you can sit and do your makeup. A lot of my videos in my bedroom, I like to sit and do my makeup, or even in this hotel room, this is a little couch that is by the bed, so I put a little mirror on the side where I can just sit by the window and do my makeup. Same thing in my home. So just find places where you can sit and lounge, okay? Don't just have a flat screen giant TV and a couch. That's so masculine, okay? Have little like chairs in, like if you have a hallway, or have like a cute little rug and a chair, or like a tiny little sofa in your entryway, so you can sit there to put your shoes on, or your guests can sit there as they're waiting to leave, or so on and forth. This is your home, so you are in charge of it. You can even change your light bulb. If the light is too harsh, you can change it into like a softer light, so that way when you wake up in the middle of the night and you turn the lights on, it's not a harsh light. I love daylight. I like that blue light. Some people might find it harsh, so but I actually love it. So I actually change all of my bulbs in my home into blue light, so it feels like that when you turn the light on, it almost feels like the sun is up again, okay? But in places where, like in my bedroom or in my bathroom, I still have the yellow light. I forget what it's called. It's more like brown, dim kind of. And so for my bedroom, when I turn the light on, especially in the middle of the night, it still feels calming, relaxing. So you get to choose. You can go to the dollar store to get a light bulb. You can go to the Home Depot. You can get light bulbs everywhere. And if you want to be techie with it, you can even get like dimmable light, smart lights. I have smart light bulbs in my home. I connect them to my Alexas and my Home Hub, my Google Home Hub, so I can like say, Alexa, turn on the light, Alexa, dim the light. And you can do stuff like that. So you are in control here, because this is your home, your space. So find things that bring you comfort and truly incorporate that into your home space. All right, ladies, and remember that there's no right or wrong answer. This is your home with your budget, so you get to pick what you want to bring you comfort, because after all, it is your sanctuary. So now let's move on to point number 5. Point number 5 is set a threshold in how messy or dirty things can get in your home. My personal threshold is there should be no more than 5 dishes in the sink at all times. 5 is enough. When I say 5, I don't mean 5 plates and 4 forks. No, when I say 5, it means 5 items total. So if I have 3 forks and 2 plates, that counts as 5. But for me, I also have a dishwasher. So what I do is I load my dishwasher at night. things wash at nighttime, so when I wake up I just put the dishes back into the cabinet and the dishwasher is empty. So throughout the day, if I cook or if I have a guest over or something, then I just put the dirty dishes that they make, or I ask them, hey, can you just rinse your dishes and put it in the dishwasher? That's okay to tell your guests, hey, you don't have to do the dishes, just rinse them and put it in the dishwasher. If my guests are like maybe older than me, maybe like family, my aunts that visit, or I don't really have aunts that visit, but let's say I have like a family member, a friends of a family who visit me, I would actually just do the dishes for them, just because it's part of my culture when someone's older than you to like maybe cater to them when they're in your space. So I don't tell them to rinse the dishes, I just like take the dishes when they're sitting down. When they're done with their plate, I'll usually ask, may I take this for you, and I'll pick up the dish and place it in the dishwasher for them. Or even like, let's say I'm sick, like right now I'm not feeling well, but I'm in a hotel, so the cleaning lady will come and clean everything. But even me personally, as you can see, I'm in a hotel, but I make my own bed. Just because I'm being serviced doesn't mean that I just let things go. Even in my home space, sometimes I have a cleaning lady that come. But ladies, right now, I'm not gonna lie to you, we're in a recession, money's a little tight because I'm just taking care of my mom and so on and forth. So I don't have a cleaning lady that comes regularly as they used to anymore. So a lot of the cleaning and maintenance, I have to do it. So I just make sure that I don't let it go overboard. So have a threshold in how dirty can get in your home. It's okay if you get sick and you're not feeling well and there's like 5 dishes in the sink and you like crawl out of bed and maybe throw all of them in the dishwasher. That makes sense, right? But the reason I say have a threshold or limit on how bad dirty can get is because when you have a limit, you can correct things before they go uncontrollable. Oftentimes I meet people who are like, who have let their home go, or even their bodies. I always think about this. You don't wake up the next day tomorrow and say, oh my God, I've gained 50 pounds. It usually starts small. You'll start to see, oh, this skirt felt a little bit tight today. And if you don't notice it and start working out or start leading a healthy lifestyle, then the skirt will feel tight. Next thing you know, the stretchy pants will feel tight. Next thing you know, it will go worse and worse and worse, right? That's also the same thing in your home. Let's say that you will see 3 dishes in the sink and you're like, okay, 5 is my limit. And the next time you see 5 dishes in the sink, then if you have a threshold or a limit, you can say, okay, oops, there are 5 dishes in the sink. Let me put some of them away. Let me now clean a little bit. Or you can say, oh my God, I have not vacuumed in a week or in a month. Whenever you vacuum, whatever your schedule is, then you can say, okay, this is how bad I'm allowing this to get. So you can have a limit or a boundary. I personally, so again, ladies, if you're sick, of course, give yourself grace, but just remember that there should be a limit even in your grace. I personally don't ever just come home and take my clothes off and put them on the floor. So there's usually rarely ever a reason to see clothing on the floor. Whereas I had an ex one time, but he had a live-in housekeeper. He had this big house and a live-in housekeeper, but we're not gonna get that deep. I'm not trying to like air anyone's dirty laundry, no pun intended. But this specific person will come home, they'll come from a workout and then they'll just take their clothes off and throw it in a corner because the housekeeper is gonna pick it up, right? I think that's rude. I mean, I don't have a living housekeeper. I have cleaning women who come into my home, but even then, I don't know. It's just not in my nature to take off my clothes and throw them on the floor. Even if it's like messy days, I have like a couch near my closet where I just take my clothes if I know I don't have time to put them in the hamper or inside of wherever they're supposed to be. I put them on the couch. So that's like that little sitting area is like my dirty clothes area, and it bothers me, but at least like it's not on the floor. But again, there's no judgment in what you do, but try to even keep habits of not just coming home and just taking your clothes off, taking your socks off, your underwear or whatever, and just throwing them on the floor. Just have it, put it in like the hamper, or put it on a chair somewhere or a place where you can see it so that you can move it later on. So yeah, try not to just throw things on the floor. And ladies, think of it this way: a respectable and feminine woman has limits when she's dating, she has limits when it comes to her body, and she has limits when it comes to her spendings. It doesn't mean she cannot do whatever she wants, but those limits and those thresholds are for regulation. So your home is the same. Your home should have the same standard of having a limit or a threshold to protect it and to prevent it from going worse. So just remember that your limits and your threshold give you peace. Now let's move on to my final point number 6. I actually got to go. I'm running so late. I think I'm not running late, but I wanted to, since I'm going to a wellness center, I don't want to rush there, but it's like a 15-minute walk. I wanted to walk, but I think I'll just call a car and it'll get here in like 4 minutes. But all right, so let's move on to point number 6, my final point. Point number 6 is define what femininity means to you and have your home and your space reflect that. So we've talked about the word femininity itself in many of my previous videos, and I talk about how it simply comes from the Latin root word femina, which means of woman. So I always talk about, what does your dream woman look like? Your most feminine idea of a woman. What does she look like? That is the woman you want to embody. She is of woman. That version will be different from many different women, because we as women, we come in different shapes, sizes, and manners of thinking. So sit down with yourself and think, what does femininity means to me? My dream woman, my most feminine woman, what does that look like, right? What does her home space look like? What does her home smells like? What does it feel like when she walks into her home, or even when guests walk into her home? What are her standards even in hard time, especially in financially hard times or family hard times? Maybe she's grieving right now, so she doesn't have time to clean up her space, right? But because she's feminine, she still has a standard. So the answer to those questions will vary, but it is up to you to sit and think about what that looks like for you and embody it. For example, if your dream woman, for whatever reason, let's say you live in a luxury condo or a giant luxury home, but for whatever reason you are your dream woman, and for whatever reason she falls into misfortune or hard time and she has to move into a tiny little cottage in the countryside, or a tiny little apartment in the hood, what is she still going to have in her tiny little space? Is she going to have wildflowers or affordable Dollar Tree flowers in that home? Probably so, because that's her standard, right? So think of it like that. Your home, your space, your femininity, it is a standard. It's not because you're making this much money, so you should go buy this expensive thing. If you have it, great. If you don't have it, what is your standard, no matter how little or how big or how much you have? It's up to you to answer that. So would her space still be clean, thoughtful? Would she still have small little accents of femininity in her space, even if her budget is small as well? Most likely so, right? So embody that version of that dream woman, or whatever that looks for you. Sometimes it might not mean like luxury, beige interior, clean aesthetic space. Sometimes it might mean, a cute little cottage space, a place where she's brewing hot tea or herbal tea in her kitchen, and the aroma is just filling up her space. That is feminine, okay? Whatever that is to you, you get to have a say in it, and you get to embody it. So embody her now. If you can think about becoming her, then you already are her. Use what you have to do what you can to become what she is, the idea that you have of her right now. And then you grow into elevating that as time, space, and finances tolerate. So that will be all for today. Thank you so much for taking your time to watch me. I hope you're able to take these tips to enhance your feminine space or home. I hope these tips also help you create a feminine and cozy, intentional home that can truly help you feel at peace and help you feel like the most authentic feminine version of you. Thank you so much again, and as always, here with the Feminine Takeoff, we take off to better ourselves. Mwah.